Hey guys, welcome back to the Driven to Compete channel. If this is your first time on the channel, please hit that subscribe button and the bell so you can stay up to date on all my videos. Hey, before we get started, I want to give a shout out here to you and let you know I'm wearing my new merch. Rocking my Mustang today, so I wanted to wear some of my new merch, and it is available on Teespring at the Driven to Compete store site. If you look in the description of the video, I will have a link there, as well as putting it up on the screen for you right now. Hey, with that said, I had a barn find video with some 914s and such that I put up here recently, and I got permission to come back. And man, I'm having a great day. In fact, I had such a blast listening and talking to these guys that I'm gonna be making multiple videos. And I hope that you find it as enjoyable as what I did in videoing it today. But you know, this is the story of Aircooled Racing and a guy named Steve who started out with a passion really for racing, and who spent a lot of time racing in his younger days, and it became a business because it was like, hey, can you fix my bent up race car? And then of course, like he'll tell you later in the video, you know, race cars tend to have other issues, and next thing you know, you're rebuilding transmissions or motors, or you're putting roll bars in the car, or you're fixing rust issues, and it has grown into a full-time business. He has a partner working for him here. His name is Derek. So Steve and Derek, Aircooled Racing. I can't wait to tell their story, or really let Steve tell their story in this first part of the video. So I hope you enjoy, and check back. There'll be another video in another week or so following this one with more content about Aircooled Racing. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.
Good morning. Welcome to Aircooled Racing. My name is Steve Limbert.
And I'm Derek Swigger.
And we are I'm the brains and he's the brawn behind Aircooled Racing. I just have an old kindred spirit with these guys. I have so much admiration and respect for what they did, because they didn't have cool suits back in the day.
Yeah.
They sat in the car for 2 hours.
They did old school. Yeah.
And they had a beer.
Yeah.
And got back in the car and drove the rest of the way. But I got to know John, so he signed a poster down there for me, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was good.
No, and I mean, I love it. Everywhere you look. I mean, it's not just your workplace. You know, it's almost like a museum. And of course, when you get to look at the Holy Grail, as you described it, of 914s, and right there's your desk, right? I mean, how much better of a view from your desk? You know, when you think you're having a bad day at work, folks, and you spin around and you see the Holy Grail of 914s, right? And right below it, probably the next one of the next ones that you would want, which is be a 914-6. I mean, right there you go. How can you call that a bad day?
No.
At all. No. And you know, the artwork, it's not just artwork though. I look at it's telling a story of your experiences. I mean, this started off as a love of racing, and it shows. I mean, you can see.
Well, one of the things I should mention.
I love the steering wheel, by the way.
Steering wheel, and who signed it? That steering wheel. That's Jackie Oliver. That's Vic Elford. No, excuse me. There's Jackie Oliver there.
Yes.
David Hobbs. Brian Redman. David Piper.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Richard that won Le Mans in 1970. Oh, I can't get his last name. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, but he.
And there's of course Vic's.
That's Vic. Yeah. And I was heavy into photography, and I actually took this picture of a 917 up at Watkins Glen.
You took that 917 photo.
I was into photography, and I'll show you another one.
That's great.
Over the years, well, before we go over to the other picture, let me show you this real quick down here. In my SEC racing, Paul Newman was one of our race And Newman was not just a pretty face. He was not just an actor.
They said he was the real deal. He could
He
race.
was a hell of a driver.
Driver, yeah.
And that poster lists all the races that he went to. There were two that I didn't attend that year in 1979.
Okay.
One was Brainerd
You can't.
International, which is out in Minnesota, and the other was the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But other than that, I was at every one
Wow.
of those races with Paul. And in 79,
Now, did you know Paul personally? Had you met him?
oh, I had met him.
Met him and talked to him?
Yeah. Hey,
Well, that's just right there in its own right is just a story, right?
well, the interesting thing about him, he wouldn't sign an autograph, but yet
Wow.
he had a whole bunch of people on a Saturday night up at his place in Connecticut for hamburgers. And I got to go have a hamburger.
Yeah.
When I first met him, I had a Speedster, and he had just finished driver's school. I was at Lime Rock, and I'm in the men's room, which was basically an old-fashioned latrine.
Okay.
So in here I am doing my business in the latrine, and about as far away as you and I are, here's Paul Newman. And I took a double take, and I said, wow, this is cool. Here I am taking a whiz next to Paul Newman. And
Yeah.
I said, this is really cool. And he said, what do you drive? I told him Speedster. Oh, the brown one. I said, yeah. And I said, by the way, I got to tell you, my dad took me to see you in a play that you were in at the Forest Fair. It was Desperate Hours. And you were the bad guy. And he said, oh my God, you're dating me. I said, I don't want to date you. I just want to,
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
Anyway, but he had a great sense of humor. He was the real deal. He was the real deal. But anyway, that's a Newman. Then this crazy poster up here is one of the rarest posters made. When Porsche would win a race, they would make a poster dedicated to that car or individual who won
Yeah.
the race. So that poster, actually, the first place at that Monaco rally in 1971 was a,
Yeah.
you can see an Alpine Renault. And
yeah.
so what the Frenchmen did, they went and said, "Oh, Mr. Porsche, you must make a poster for us because you used to make posters for all your people. Make a poster for us." So they did, but lo and behold, they also put a 914.6, which finished third. That is probably one of the rarest posters in existence. So I have that one and the other one. And this Brian Redmond signed for me. I've done a
I
lot of
see that.
stuff for Brian. He's not a personal friend, but I've got to know him over the years, and he's really just a fine gentleman, just a really good guy to know. Another fellow was a guy by the name of Dave Helmick. And Dave Helmick co-drove that car, which he owned, which was number 43. It
Okay.
was the last naturally aspirated, no turbo, aspirated car from Porsche that won the 24 Hours of Daytona. Co-driving with him was Richard Graves and Hurley Haywood. Now, Hurley recently has come out of the closet. He's a hell of a good driver. He is married to a guy by the name of Steve. It just came out.
Okay.
And he's a good cook, but he can drive a car. And Dave Helmick used to tell me funny stories about Hurley Haywood back in the day.
Yeah.
And he actually referred to him in a very benevolent way as girly.
Yeah.
But Hurley is the real deal. I was at Daytona a couple years ago, and he was behind me. We were doing a vintage heritage go around. I had the 914G car out there, and he was 3 or 4 cars behind. And we went out, and they shook us loose after 3 laps with everybody. We had to stay in line. So then I see Hurley pull out, and I gave him the passing sign, and I tucked in behind him. And there were a couple guys in 911s who didn't believe how fast we went by.
Really?
Yeah, one guy wouldn't talk to me afterwards, but we've since mended those fences. But
Yeah.
and he's a wannabe racer, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no wannabe here. I mean, let me show you some of the. I mean, the tail of that.
Is the tail end of the other 914-6 that I race. That's backed into Watkins Glen, the Blue Armco, or as my friend Les Hanley used to say, the Blue Bush. It hit the Blue Bush at about 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, to show everybody, this is a lifetime of collecting.
See, here's my buddy Les in that in his 914. That's the first one in the country. The blue guy, right
Which
there.
we're going to see in the next visit.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Hopefully we'll get to see that a little bit.
And here's another shot of Les.
Yeah. And I know there's a glare because of the glass, but still, I mean, you know.
And along the way, I mean, I knew Al Holbert real well, so I had to have one of Holbert's cars. Signed by Brian Redmond.
Okay.
That's Brian's signature up here.
That's cool.
And then we had Vic Elford come to the shop one day.
Okay.
And Vic has signed, well, here's number 25, which the back end of it's signed by Vic.
Yes, you can see the back end.
Yep.
Let me zoom in here for the folks watching. You can see the signature right there.
Yeah. Vic's signature on the side of the number 7, the Jägermeister car.
Yes, you can make that out.
Make it out.
The sun from coming in the door there might have faded a little bit, but it's there. But yeah, I mean, this is just some really great stuff. And I love how you not only have your memorabilia, but you've incorporated like photos.
This was the 19 car. That is actually at Daytona in 1971.
Wow.
And there's a sister car. Now, the sister car was wrecked, and a fellow up in Massachusetts is restoring 18 back. And these were the two cars that the Ralph Meany shop ran out of.
And that's the same car that you're looking at here.
Yep, that's it.
Right there it is. Isn't that a great story? So they're getting ready to close up for the day, and I'm going to be back to shoot more video, but I wanted to shoot this. This is a customer's car. I was here a few weeks ago, and they told me it was in for motor work, and they were pulling it today while I was here, and here you can kind of see it, and Steve's going to talk about the car a little bit, and what, because when I come back in a few days, he told me this will be completely disassembled, and they'll be working on it. So
yeah, this is a 3-liter 911 engine. It's a European car. Has a 915 gearbox, and unfortunately right now the shift lever is rusted into the throwout bearing, so it didn't split off real easy. Derek, who was taken off for the day, couldn't get it apart. The customer has done some work. It has new transmission mounts in the back here.
Yeah, see that.
He's got some stuff up front, but the car has about 140,000 miles on it. And as you can see, it's a bloody mess.
yeah,
So it'll get all nice and clean because we've got the clean
heater,
tank.
you can see here,
Yeah.
folks,
And the exhaust system is in bad shape.
heater boxes are gone.
And the guy's very much interested in performance of the car. So I'm going to try and convince him that he should go with an upgrade to make the car a little more powerful and get rid of that exhaust system and put on an earlier type system, which we can do that. I can make a sport muffler up for him, which will probably increase the horsepower maybe by 8 to 10.
Okay.
He wants to get away from the fuel injection. We're going to go with the PMO carburetors. Weber carburetors, they no longer make them for these cars anymore, but Richard Parr, P-A-R-R, out in California, developed a carburetor called the PMO. And early on, probably, dating myself again, 25 years ago,
Yeah.
I kind of worked with him. There were some other people here on the East Coast that took those carburetors and made sure they worked. I had a carburetor come in, a set of carburetors, and we had to change a couple things. Richard changed the stuff. So I'm a dealer for PMO carburetors. We don't sell a lot of them, but they're really good, and they're easier to work on than a Weber, but basically have the same characteristics. They make them in a 40, 46 millimeter, and they make big ones. Damn thing looks like a toilet bowl, 50 millimeters. It's huge. I had them on my race car. I unfortunately sold the race car with the carburetors. All stupid me.
Yeah.
The carburetors are going up about 30% in price.
Wow.
But anyway, it's going to wind up with PMOs.
But that's what 3-liter
It's a 3 liter.
Flat
And we'll
six.
wind up.
Yep.
We're going to take it up to 3.2. It's kind of an easy conversion.
Okay.
We've already procured the pistons and cylinders for it, but we're going to do the right ones, which are the Mala, the German stuff.
Okay.
And
But so if you're watching this, and this is going to be one of multiple videos, but if you got a classic Porsche, okay, and I'm just going to show you here, and you're looking for a shop, these guys can definitely help you out with engine and transmission rebuilds, which is a big part of your business.
yes,
Down to full restoration if the customer would want to do that.
the whole thing morphed into my racing.
Yeah.
You know, we were putting roll cages and safety systems in, whether it was a 356. I ran a Speedster years ago, went to a 914. But the more roll cages we did in those early Porsches, there was a lot of rust involved. So you had to repair all the rust before you put the car and made it an adequate race car. So anyway, along the way, it was like, well, we can put different panels in. You can get reproduction panels. You can get new things yet. And we started to do more rust repair. So the business, instead of doing just roll cages and some engine work, we've now gotten into full-blown restorations. We've done 356s. We did a 67 short wheelbase, numbers matching 911S, which we finished. We had like 1,200 hours in the restoration. Was painted the original polo red color. We've done numerous 914s. But the old story is rust never sleeps. While the English may have invented rust, the Germans perfected it. And so it's mainly our business now, but we get involved in other kinds of stuff too.
Sure.
But the 911s, we do a lot of them. We've done work from guys out in Wisconsin. Guy down in Washington, D.C. brings the car up all the time. And a lot of 914 work.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we'll be back, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
No, thank you, Steve, for having us today.